we have started a new chapter, semiconductor electronics or solid state materials and devices we have started. So in that first class we have discussed about the introduction part, what are electronic devices, what is electronics, and what is a semiconductor electronics, and what are the main particles required for electronic devices or electronic circuits, and also what are the types of the materials like conductors, insulators, and semiconductors based on the conductivity concept we have discussed. But in the previous class, we discussed about the band theory or energy band theory. What is energy band theory? And also, what are valence band, conduction band, forbidden energy gap or forbidden energy band? So, based on the band theory, how we can classify solids into conductor, insulator, and semiconductor. So their difference also have given yesterday, like similar to a box type classification also given. Generally, briefly, you know about the band theory means or energy band means what? So in case of the solid, there are large number of atoms, so many atoms, but each and every atom is having its own energy levels. Electrons also revolving in the various orbits orbits and having a different energy values. But here, because of closely packed atoms in a solid, the electrons in the outermost orbit of one atom are interacted with the electrons in the outermost orbit of other atom. So because of this interaction, what happened? The energy levels begin to split in the outermost orbits, and all the energy levels appears to be very closer, which is called energy band. That can be called as energy band. So the group of energy values or the range of energy values possessed by electrons in the solid is called energy band. Generally, the energy values or range of energy values possessed by electrons in the outermost orbit, which are also called valence electrons, is called valence band or valence energy band. In this band, electrons are having highest energy values. So it may be completely filled or may be partially filled with electrons, valence band, but never be empty. And these electrons in the valence band will never cause any conduction or never produce any electric current. And the next highest energy band, which is possessed by conduction electrons or free electrons, is called conduction band. But a conduction band may be partially filled with electrons or may be empty. But electrons in this band can contribute or causes electric current or conduction. And this concept given. So between the valence band, it is a valence band. It is a conduction band. Then this there is a gap, energy gap, which is called forbidden energy gap or forbidden energy band. So based on this energy gap, we can classify solid metals into three types. One is a conductor, second semiconductor, and a third one insulator. Generally, in case of the conductor, this valence band and a conduction band both are overlapped like this. There is no energy gap. So that's why the type of metals are called conductors. The metals in which the valence band and the conduction band are overlapped is called are called conductors. So in case of the semiconductors, the metals in which the valence band and the conduction band are separated by small energy gap, not overlapped. So there is a small energy gap. So how much energy gap means? Less than 3 electron volt. In case of the germanium, 0.7 electron volt. In case of the silicon, 1.1 electron volt. So the type of metals are called semiconductors. But what about insulators? The metals in which the valence band and the conduction band are separated by large energy gap. So large energy gap means more than 3 electron volt, like 5 or 6, the type of metals are called 5-6 electron volt around are called insulators. But generally in all these three metals, what is energy gap means? Conductors energy gap is 0 and semiconductors around 1.1 electron volt or 1 electron volt or less than 3 electron volt. For insulators more than 3 electron volt. And conductors example, all the metals and graphite like copper, silver, gold and so on you should take. For semiconductors, germanium, silicon, but there are large number of semiconductors, but widely we are using germanium and silicon. Whereas insulators like diamond and also wood, glass, plastic, ebonite, the type of metals you can choose for insulators. Generally in case of the conductor, if you are increasing the temperature of the conductor, what will be happen? Resistance also increases. Whenever resistance increases, the current or conductivity decreases. In case of the semiconductor, if you are increasing the resistance, if you are increasing the temperature, resistance of the semiconductor decreases and conductivity increases. Whereas insulator also same, correct? So if you are increasing the temperature, the resistance decreases and the conductivity little bit increases but negligible because no free electrons. And in case of the conductor, what are the charge carriers? How current flows means free electrons. There are large number of free electrons in the conductors. Whereas in case of the semiconductors, what are the charge carriers? Electrons and also holes. So later we'll discuss. Hole means a deficiency of electron in the semiconductor, covalent bond. So both electrons and holes are charge carriers. Whereas in insulator, electrons, free electrons are charge carriers but negligible. No free electrons in the insulator, negligible. In case of the conductor, at 0 Kelvin, how at absolute temperature 0 Kelvin, what will be happen? No resistance, no resistivity. That's why it will allow full current to pass through it. That's why a conductor at a 0 Kelvin behaves as superconductor. But at 0 Kelvin, a semiconductor act like insulator because no availability of the electrons in the conduction band. But insulator also insulator only. And as temperature increases at room temperature, conductor become conductor only, no change. But semiconductor will act like a conductor because at a room temperature, some of electrons will gain energy, they jump from the valency band to conduction band and current flows. That's why at a room temperature, semiconductor acted as conductor. But at room temperature, insulator becomes insulator only. It is not act like a conductor. Correct. Now, and one more, for example, if take temperature coefficient of resistance, yesterday I have given alpha, like similarly in first year, alpha equal delta L by L into delta T, coefficient of linear areal volume expansions are there. Same way, temperature coefficient of resistance in the case of the conductor is always positive. So that indicates what? If you increase the temperature, resistance also increases. If you decrease the temperature, resistance of the conductor also decreases. That's why alpha positive. Whereas in case of the insulator and semiconductor, alpha is always negative. That you have to understand. And one more, what are the types of the bonds present in the conductor? Metallic bonds. Metallic bond means no sharing of electrons, metallic bonds. Whereas in case of the semiconductor and insulator, what type of bonds present means covalent bonds. Here covalent bond means electrons in the outermost orbit of an atom are shared with or form the bonds with the neighboring atoms of the similar crystal or solid issue take. That's why sharing of electrons will takes place, the bonds. That's called covalent bond in case of the insulator and semiconductor. Whereas in the conductor, metallic bonds. Correct. So these are the different types of the metals based on the band theory. In the previous classes I have discussed, and on tabular column also I have given. Now in this class we will discuss about semiconductors. In the previous class also I have discussed semiconductors, elemental semiconductor, compound semiconductor, in that inorganic, organic and also polymer type I have mentioned. Now we will discuss about semiconductors. Semiconductors. So what are semiconductors generally? The materials whose properties lies between conductor and insulator. Any metal may choose. If they are having a resistance or resistivity, conductivity or whatever the property may take, if it lies between the conductor and insulator, the type of metals are called semiconductors. So generally we have two type of semiconductors. One is called intrinsic semiconductors. One is intrinsic semiconductors, and the second one extrinsic. Two type of semiconductors based on their conductivity we can write generally. Extrinsic, intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. So these are the two types of semiconductors based on their conductivity generally. So one is intrinsic, one is extrinsic. Generally intrinsic meaning a pure form without adding any impurities to the semiconductor. So that type of semiconductor we can call purest form or intrinsic. if you are adding a suitable impuring atoms to the pure semiconductor, so that can be called as extrinsic semiconductor. So first we'll discuss only about intrinsic, and then we'll go for extrinsic. So first one, intrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic means nothing but pure form which are available naturally and without containing any impure atoms. So these are the pure form of semiconductors. So the pure form of semiconductors are called intrinsic semiconductors. Almost negligible impure atoms. For every 10 to the power of 10 atoms, less than 1 atom present, for example, impure atom. So that can be called as intrinsic. So general definition, right? The pure form of the semiconductors are called intrinsic semiconductors. That doesn't contain any impure atoms naturally available. But there are large number of the semiconductors, but widely we are using and available semiconductors, germanium and silicon, germanium GE, and also silicon. These two are widely used semiconductors and which contains less energy gap also. So the pure form of semiconductors, but other semiconductors also there, but they may have more energy gap. And if you want to push the electrons from the valency band to conduction band, more effort has to be we have to put, or more energy has to be supplied. But with a less amount of energy means we can choose germanium and silicon. In these two also widely we are using for manufacturing of electronic devices silicon, because leakage of the current is less, and also variation of the leakage of the current with the temperature also less in case of the silicon, and also less amount of also more durable, and also more lifetime also there. That's why, and availability also more. That's why silicon we are using widely. So these are examples. Generally, these semiconductors are tetravalent. Tetravalent. So tetravalent meaning they contain 4 electrons in the outermost orbits. For example, if you take one germanium atom, if you choose one germanium, it contains 4 electrons in the outermost orbit like this. And also if you take a silicon, also it contains 4 electrons in the outermost orbit. So this type of atoms we are calling as tetravalent. So here all the pure form of the semiconductors or whatever the intrinsic semiconductor may choose, they are nothing but tetravalent. They contain 4 valence electrons in the outermost orbit. And also these semiconductors are having less conductivity, or resistivity is more. So if you write, for example, resistivity of the semiconductors, in the previous class already I have given resistivity value also given. Resistivity rho is equal to 10 to the power of -5 ohm meter to 10 to the power of 6 ohm meter should write. And they are having a less conductivity. A pure semiconductor generally having a less conductivity, sigma is equal to 10 power 5 ohm meter to, they are having a 10 to the power of Simon per meter. Simon per meter to 10 power -6 Simon per meter. It is a resistivity, it is a conductivity, flow of current, how it will flow means per 1 meter. And moreover, in a pure semiconductor, the conductivity is mainly due to thermal excitation or thermal energy. So generally conductivity is due to conductivity, or depends upon, conductivity depends upon, in a pure semiconductor, conductivity depends upon temperature. More the temperature, more the conductivity. Less be the temperature, less be the conductivity also. So it mainly depends upon temperature. And here, because of this less conductivity, controlling of electrons also difficult in this case of the pure semiconductor. And or it is due to, conductivity is mainly due to thermal motion of electrons. Thermal motion of electrons. and controlling of electrons also difficult. There are some of the disadvantages in case of pure semiconductors. Controlling of electrons is difficult in case of the pure semiconductor. But here in a pure semiconductor, the conductivity or current is due to electrons and holes. Charge carriers, what are the charge carriers here? Means charge carriers are electrons, means free electrons, and holes. These are the charge carriers in case of pure semiconductor, or maybe any type of semiconductor. Electrons and holes are charge carriers, but they contain less number. That's why the conductivity also less, or flow of current also less. So generally these are practically not useful. Practically intrinsic semiconductors are not useful for manufacturing any electronic devices, or maybe if you want to use in the electronic circuits, practically they are not useful. Why they are not useful means, so here current in a pure semiconductor is only because of the thermal motion of electrons. Whenever temperature of the semiconductor increases, some of the electrons jumps from the valence band to conduction band, and then they cause the current. If you want to get the more electrons, more temperature has to be given. So more temperature means sometimes the device may be damaged, and also controlling of electrons also quite difficult. Once if temperature is more, then automatically the motion of electron is also very high, and in that high speed we cannot control the electrons. So controlling of electrons is difficult, and sometimes the device may be damaged at a higher temperature, and that's why they are not having much practical use. So these are about intrinsic semiconductor. And what type of bonds present in case of the pure semiconductor means covalent bonds. In a pure semiconductor or any semiconductor, covalent bonds present in case of the semiconductor. In a semiconductor, what type of bonds means covalent bonds, and they share with neighboring atoms. And if write, for example, a band structure, energy band structure, if you write, it is a, for example, valence band. So this we can take a valence band, and this will be taken as a conduction band, and both are separated by small energy gap, which is called forbidden energy gap. So this will be valence band, this will be a conduction band, and this middle is called a forbidden energy gap. That middle part can be called forbidden energy gap. So generally in case of the pure semiconductor, if take at 0 Kelvin, for example I am choosing at 0 Kelvin, so it contains electrons, valence band contains electrons, whereas conduction band contains no electrons, 0. So at 0 Kelvin in a semiconductor, valence band is full of electrons, whereas conduction band is 0 electrons. Conduction band contains 0 electrons means what? No free electrons available in the conduction band. No free electrons available means how much current passes? No current flows in the circuit. So at 0 Kelvin, what is the conductivity means 0. So that's why it act like insulator. Semiconductor act like insulator. At 0 Kelvin, it act like insulator. And if take for example at a room temperature, what will be happen? I'll take like this. Same conduction band and a valence band I am choosing here. So we take upper part conduction band, lower part valence band, middle is called a forbidden energy gap. Forbidden energy gap. So generally at a room temperature, or at a higher temperature. At room temperature, what will be happen? Electrons in the valence band will absorb some thermal energy or heat energy. So generally it contains a number of electrons in the valence band, but after absorbing a heat energy or thermal energy, what will be happen? Check here, these are the electrons actually, but after absorbing the thermal energy, electrons will jump from the valency band to conduction band like this. So whenever one electron jumps from the valency band to conduction band, this electron jumps from the valency band to conduction band. Whenever one electron jumps here, it will leave one vacancy. That vacancy we are calling as a hole. The deficiency of the electron is called as a hole. Hole is practically having a positive charge, exactly opposite charge of electron. So at a room temperature or temperature of the semiconductor increases, the electrons in the valence band will absorb thermal energy and they jump from the valence band to conduction band. If one electron jumps, what will be happen? It leave one hole. If two electrons jumps from the valence band to conduction band, automatically two holes are produced. For example, 10 electrons jumps from the valence band to conduction band, so 10 holes. So number of electrons in the conduction band, number of holes in the valence band, both are exactly equal. So that's why the current is due to both the conduction electrons and also holes that you should take. So the current charge carriers means I already mentioned electrons and holes. So in a pure semiconductor, number of electrons I am representing with Ne. Ne is equal number density of electrons in the conduction band. Number density of electrons in the conduction band is equal to the number density of holes in the valence band, which is equal to NH. I'll take both. Ne equal to NH, number of electrons in the conduction band, number of holes in the valence band, both are exactly equal. And which is equal to intrinsic charge carriers, Ni. Ni means nothing but in a pure semiconductor, what are the number of electrons and holes are there? So they can be called as intrinsic charge carriers or intrinsic charge concentration. So Ne can be called as Ni, NH also called as Ni. So in a pure semiconductor or in an intrinsic semiconductor, number density of electrons in the conduction band Ne, number density of holes in the valence band NH, both are exactly equal and both are being equal to the intrinsic charge concentration. For example, electrons causes some current and holes also cause some current, then current due to electrons is equal to IE. I represents current, E for electrons. Current due to electrons equal IE and current due to holes is equal to IH. Both are exactly equal. In a pure semiconductor, current due to electrons, current due to holes, both are exactly equal. You should take. So it is a general points about intrinsic semiconductors. And if take for example the band structure, the covalent bond structure, if take for example, I'll give. So sometimes they are asking one more question, maybe in competitive exams or general PU level. What is a hole? Hole means what? Missing electron, nothing but the deficiency of electron. When an electron jumps from the valency band to conduction band, it leaves one vacancy. The missing electron in the valency band can be called as a hole, or the deficiency of electron in the valency band can be called as a hole. What is the charge of the hole? Exactly opposite to the charge of electron. Electron having a negative charge, minus E, but hole is having positive charge, plus E should take it. And electrons and holes are both are moving in opposite directions. That you have to understand. Electrons generally having negative charge means they will move towards positive terminal of the battery. If electron is moving attracted by positive terminal of the battery, then a hole is moving towards the negative terminal of the battery because of the positive charge. That you have to understand. And I'll give bond structure of the pure semiconductor. I'll take one germanium atom, germanium atoms. Germanium I'll take like this. They are tetravalent. So germanium atoms or we can choose silicon also, but both are having the same structure only because both are tetravalent and both contain 4 electrons in the valence, 4 valence electrons or 4 electrons in the outermost orbits. We can choose like this. If you are able to understand about germanium, silicon and other semiconductors also, you can understand easily like this. So same we can apply for silicon also. Now germanium contains 4 electrons in the outermost orbit like this, 4 valence electrons. All the germanium atoms, if you take one crystal, germanium crystal, so crystal means it may contain large number of the atoms. And if choose for example one particular atom, it contain 4 valence electrons. So this type of neighboring atoms, if you choose, all they contain 4 valence electrons like this. They contain 4 valence electrons each and every germanium atom, and they will share the electrons with the neighboring atoms, or they will form the bonds with the neighboring atoms. That's why at 0 Kelvin all the covalent bonds are completed. So no free electron available in case of the germanium crystal or pure semiconductor. That's why there is no flow of current. Generally we can choose like this. In this, all the electrons will form the bonds with the neighboring electrons of the atoms like this. They will form the bonds. So still also we can write the number of atoms above and below, but here I am showing some of the atoms like this. We can form the bonds like this. Any number of atoms you may choose, but whatever the number of atoms you may choose, the bond structure will be like this. Generally I am giving it a normal temperature or less temperature or at 0 Kelvin. Whenever all the bonds are completed, we can take the structure like this. That is a germanium structure we have to take like this. So it is one of the pure semiconductor, nothing but germanium. Covalent bonds present in case of germanium should take like this. Now check here. Generally at a 0 Kelvin or maybe at a lower temperature, all the bonds are completed. Germanium is a tetravalent which contains 4 valence electrons. Each electron or all the 4 electrons of the germanium atom are participated the bonds with the neighboring germanium atoms. So at 0 Kelvin, there is all the covalent bonds are completed. There is no free electron. So that means in case of the band structure, all the valency band is full of electrons, but there is no electrons in the conduction band. That's why it acts like insulator, no flow of current in case of the semiconductor. But at a higher temperature, what will be happening? At a higher temperature, what happened means, so here the germanium crystal will gain some amount of the heat energy. The electrons also will absorb some amount of heat energy. After absorbing, some electrons may jump from the valency band to conduction band. That is, covalent bonds will break because of the high temperature or because of the absorbing of the thermal energy. So covalent bonds will break. If one bond breaks means one electron will come outside like this. It is a free electron. So here once if electron is inside the bond, that is called valence electron or electrons in the outermost orbit, which doesn't cause any electric current. So at a higher temperature, the covalent bond will break. If one electron came outside, it will leave one vacancy which is called a hole. So one bond breaks means one electron, one conduction electron available, one hole also available. If two bonds breaks means 2 electrons and 2 holes available. So 10 bonds breaks means 10 electrons and also 10 holes are available. So here this electron is called a free electron or conduction electron. So this can be called as a conduction electron or a free electron, which causes electric current, free electron or conduction electron. and this can be called as a hole. Deficiency of electron, which is called as a hole. So conductivity is mainly due to because of the breakage of the covalent bonds in a pure semiconductor, or in case of the intrinsic semiconductor. What is the reason for the flow of current? Means only because of the breakage of covalent bonds. But why the covalent bonds are broken? Because of higher temperature. Whenever we are giving a more temperature, the electrons in the bonds will absorb thermal energy and the bonds will break and the electron will come outside. Electron will come outside, meaning it jumps from the valence band to conduction band, which causes electric current. So more the bonds breaks, more the electrons available. More the electrons available means more holes also available. If 10 bonds breaks means 10 free electrons available, 10 conduction electrons available, 10 holes also available. That's why in a pure semiconductor, number of electrons and the number of holes both are equal. Current due to electrons and the current due to holes also equal. But one important thing you have to understand, we are saying a hole is a negative charge, positive charge, correct? A deficiency of electron. But this hole will always try to attract one more electron from the neighboring bond. For example, this hole is attracting the neighboring electron to here. Then what will happen? This valence electron will jump to here. Whenever this valence electron jumps to here, then what will happen? Here hole will be created, correct? For example, this hole which is having a positive charge is attracting the electron from here. So always a positively charged hole will try to attract the electron to complete the bond. So for example, here this electron jumps to here, then what will be happen? Check. This electron jumps and it completed the bond, and here a hole will be created, correct? So that means the first here hole we have taken. This electron, whenever it jumps here, hole shifted to here. Whenever this electron jumps here, that hole will be shifted to here. If electrons are moving on one side, what about the holes? They are moving exactly opposite side. For example, if take like this, one crystal I am taking, or maybe in the case of the classroom. So students are sitting in a bench, for example. Like for example, there are number of students who are sitting on the bench like this, first one, and also for example next second one, and then third. So number of students sitting on the bench like this. Total, for example, 4 students sitting on the bench. So 4 students sitting on the bench means there will be no vacancy. So the total bench capacity, for example, having 4 members, but all the 4 members sitting on the bench, for example, so there will be no vacancy. So all the students we can imagine as electrons. So electrons means all the 4 electrons are there, but no holes are there. For example, we can write some numbers as A, B, C and D I am writing it. For example, suddenly this student moves from one place to other place. So here, for example, suddenly he went outside. Whenever one student went outside means what will be happen? He leaves some vacancy, he leaves some space. That can, the missing student can be taken as like a whole vacancy. In the same way, in the case of the covalent bonds, one electron came outside from the covalent bond, one vacancy created. That vacancy we are calling as a hole. So here, for example, one vacancy is there. One vacancy is there means there is a possibility to occupy other student the space. For example, the student B shifted to here, then what will be happen? This vacancy will be shifted to left side. This vacancy will be shifted to left side like this. Now, for example, whenever here vacancy is there, C is shifted to, for example, B, then automatically this vacancy will be shifted to C like this. Whenever student D shifted to C, then automatically this vacancy will be shifted to C like this, D like this. So that means if students are shifting right side, then what happened to the vacancy? Shifting left side. So that means if electrons are moving one side and holes will move opposite side. But one thing you have to understand carefully, but really hole is moving, or really the vacancy is shifting, vacancy not shifting, correct? We feel it is a shifting. So here whenever electrons, for example, if you take one crystal like this, I am choosing a crystal which contains electrons. These are the electrons in the crystal, for example. These are the holes in the crystal. I am choosing some electrons and also holes like this. Now I am connecting this crystal to one battery or cell like this, positive and negative terminals of the battery like this. plus and a minus, it is a battery. Whenever if you are applying something, a potential difference, all these electrons are having negative charge. So they are attracted by the positive terminal of the battery and all the electrons are moving left side like this, correct? And these electrons will move along this path and which causes some electric current also. Electrons are moving along this path, correct? So always electrons are moving from lower to higher potential, means they are moving towards the positive terminal of the battery. If an electron is moving left side, means automatically hole appears to move, really not moving. Hole will never move, hole will appears to move right side. So that's why you should take holes will appears to move right side. So right side means they are moving towards the negative polarity of the battery. But one has to understand hole is nothing but what? Deficiency of electron or missing electron. Hole will never move, but we have to feel one electron is moving right side, the vacancy will be automatically occupied by next electron and that vacancy shifted to other side, appears to be shifted. Again next electron will occupy this place and automatically it will be appears to be shifting right side. So in a pure semiconductor, if holes are moving one side, electrons are moving opposite side and the current is due to both electrons and also holes. So that's about the bond structure of the germanium, or maybe you can take silicon also. These are intrinsic or pure semiconductors. And moreover, here already mentioned, practically it is having less use. Why less use means conduction is only because of the breakage of the covalent bonds, and the bonds will break only because of the higher temperature. And once if you apply higher temperature, once if a bonds break, electrons will come outside, they move randomly throughout the material, and the controlling of electron also very difficult. That's why practically the conductivity of the pure semiconductor or intrinsic semiconductor very less. That's why there is no much use for practical uses. So hence what we have to do, we have to convert we have to increase the conductivity of the pure semiconductor, then only it will be useful for a practical purpose. For example, once if you prepare or once if you made one mobile phone, inside we used some of the semiconducting devices like silicon for example, and if you want to get a more current for example required, more current required means we cannot heat the mobile phone, and we cannot keep the phone on the flame and we cannot heat to get the more current. So what we have to do, without heating only, so we have to increase the conductivity. Then what are the methods? Means that is a doping. So doping means adding impurities to the pure semiconductor. Automatically thousands of the times conductivity will be increases without change of the structure, without change of the any other properties, just by adding controlled or proper atoms, impure atoms to the pure semiconductor, so we can increase the conductivity. So that method is called as doping. And by doping, we can convert a pure semiconductor into impure semiconductor. So that can be called as extrinsic semiconductors. So we'll go for second one, extrinsic semiconductors. Extrinsic semiconductors. So these are impure form of semiconductors. So we have to understand one thing. Here impurities means not a dust something, correct? Suitable atoms we have to add, controlled or proper atoms only we should add. Impurities means that's important. Extrinsic, second one, extrinsic semiconductors. Extrinsic semiconductors. So these are the impure form of semiconductors. So to a pure semiconductor, whenever proper impure atoms are added, then the obtained semiconductor is called as extrinsic semiconductor. When impurities, proper impurities are added to, when proper impurities are added to, proper impurities are added to a pure semiconductor, proper impurities are added to a pure semiconductor, then the obtained semiconductor is called, then the obtained semiconductor is called, obtained semiconductor is called an extrinsic semiconductor, is called an extrinsic semiconductor, extrinsic semiconductor. But generally here simple means impure form, we are calling as impure form of semiconductors. These are impure form, but intrinsic means pure form, should write. So generally what type of atoms we have to add means, so why we have to add impurities? What is our aim? To increase the conductivity, correct? The purpose to increase, the purpose of adding impurities is to increase the conductivity. So because in case of the pure semiconductors, conductivity is very low, that's why they are not practically useful. That's why without rise of temperature, so we have to increase the conductivity. So to increase the conductivity of the pure semiconductor, so we are doping, correct? So by doping only it is possible. So here conductivity mainly depends upon, in this case, conductivity of an extrinsic semiconductor, conductivity of an extrinsic semiconductor depends upon amount of doping. I will discuss doping also. Amount of doping and temperature. But in case of the pure semiconductor, it depends only on temperature. But here it depends upon temperature as well as how many atoms we are adding, how many impure atoms we are adding. So that method only called as doping. Process of adding impurities to the pure semiconductor can be called as simply doping. So it depends upon the amount of doping and temperature. More the doping, more the atoms added, more the conductivity. Less be the atoms doped, so conductivity also less. So it depends upon these two parameters. And here what are the charge carriers means also electrons and holes. Here also charge carriers are electrons and holes, but both are not equal. Free electrons and holes, but both are not equal. So in case of the pure semiconductor, both are equal, but here both are not equal, so different. But electrons mora or holes mora means depending upon the doping atom, correct? So here in case of the extrinsic semiconductors, so we have to, what are the doping atoms, or what is the doping? It is nothing but a process of adding impurities, process of adding proper impure atoms, process of adding proper impure atoms to a pure semiconductor is called doping. So the method of adding or process of adding impurities to the pure semiconductor is called as doping. That method only called as doping. Whatever the atoms we want to dope, they are called dopant atoms. So dopants are dopant atoms. So dopant atoms means impure atoms added to the pure semiconductor. Impure atoms added to a pure semiconductor are called dopants or doping atoms. But what type of atoms we have to choose? So we should not add all the impure atoms to the pure semiconductor. So before going to select or before going to choose, so some of the rules we have to follow. What are the rules we have to follow means, whatever the dopant atom we want to choose, first the dopant atom must be having a proper size we have to choose. So generally if you take a germanium or silicon, whatever the size of the germanium or silicon atom is there, so this dopant atom also almost having a similar size, correct? It must be having a proper size. Proper size, the dopant atom should be having proper size, means nearly equal to the size of the germanium atom or silicon atom. 100% not possible, at least the closest atom you have to choose. What are the closest atoms? Generally germanium or silicon is a tetravalent, then we have to choose either trivalent or pentavalent. So generally germanium is a tetravalent, means 4 valence electrons. If you choose 3 valence electrons, that is called trivalent. If it is having 5 valence electrons, that is called pentavalent. So a proper sized atoms you have to choose. That is the dopant atoms may be either trivalent or pentavalent. Trivalent or pentavalent, we can choose like this. And whatever the doping atom we selected, it should replace one of the semiconductor atom. For example, germanium contains 1 lakh atoms, but I want to dope 1 atom. Whenever I added 1 atom, means what will be happen? Out of the 1 lakh atoms, 1 atom must be replaced with this dopant atom. For example, all the atoms are occupied already in the germanium, but I want to dope 1 atom. So this doped atom must replace one of the germanium atom. It should occupy the position of one of the germanium atom, correct? That is also. So the dopant atom should occupy or should replace one of atoms, should occupy the position of semiconductor atom. Whatever the pure semiconductor atom we selected, atoms, it should replace one of the atom and it should occupy that place. And also it must be proper. So proper means amount must be proper. So means we should not add more and more number of atoms. For every 10 to the power of 8 atoms, we should add only 1 atom, correct? Here doping should be proper, or proper amount should be added. Proper amount should be selected. Proper amount means for every 10 to the power of 8 atoms, for every 10 power 8 atoms, 1 impure atom should be doped. For example, germanium atoms, I want to choose 10 power 8 atoms. For every 10 to the power of 8 atoms, if you add only 1 impure atom, what will be happen? Nearly 1000 times the conductivity will be increases. That's why no need to add much more atoms. That's why we have to choose a proper amount only, correct? So these are the important properties. One, you should take the size of the dopant atom must be nearly equal to the size of the pure semiconductor atom, and also the whatever the atom we want to dope, it should occupy the position of the semiconductor atoms, and also the proper amount we have to select. Proper amount means so nearly for every 10 to the power of 8 atoms of the germanium or silicon, we should dope only 1 atom. So that's why this type of properties we have to choose. But what method we have to follow means, for example, it is a germanium. So exactly on the germanium crystal, we have to place one trivalent atom, maybe a pentavalent atom. If we heat this one highly, and after heating, what will be happen? The total will be converted into molten state. So this atom also will be occupied the position of one of the germanium atom, and then if you cool, it will be converted into extrinsic semiconductor. So maybe by using a trivalent, or maybe by using pentavalent, or sometimes by adding simply to the germanium atoms, one method, or by bombardment. So collision, for example, if you take one target germanium or silicon, so one of the dopant atom you have to choose. Fast moving dopant atom, whenever it collided, it will penetrate and it will occupy one of the position. So maybe by using a diffusing methods, or maybe by using a bombardment methods, so we can convert the normal pure semiconductor into extrinsic semiconductor. And one more, here depending upon the dopant atoms, what type of atoms we are doping, extrinsic semiconductor has two types. One is positive type, one is negative type. So that's why there are two types of extrinsic semiconductors. One is N-type semiconductor. N-type semiconductor. The letter N indicates a negative type. That indicates more number of electrons, simply. N-type semiconductor. And the next second one, positive type or P-type semiconductor. P-type semiconductor. On what based we classify extrinsic into two types, N-type and P-type, depending upon the dopant atoms. So what are the dopant atoms means we should take trivalent and pentavalent. If you take a trivalent, so in tomorrow class we'll discuss these two, N-type and P-type. So here we have trivalent impurities means, right, let's simply bag it. So in exam don't write like this, only to remember easily I have written like this, correct, to remember easily. So B for boron, boron. G represents, A for aluminium, aluminium. G for gallium. I represents indium, indium. And T for thallium. So all these are nothing but called trivalent impure atoms. Easy to remember, bag it, simple. So boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium. So they are trivalent means they contain 3 valence electrons. In the outermost orbit they contain 3 electrons. But second pentavalent means, I'll write one example. Pentavalent impure atoms. So here they are having 5 valence electrons. Simply you can write pass B. Pass B. So here first letter P represents phosphorus. 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 Second AS we should take arsenic. AS represents arsenic. Next SB represents antimony. Antimony. And BI represents bismuth. But only for easy remembering purpose, pass B. Easy to remember in exam also we can write. So P for phosphorus, AS arsenic, SB antimony and BI bismuth. All these are pentavalent. Here trivalent, bag it, boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and also thallium. So these are trivalent. If you are adding trivalent impure atoms to the pure semiconductor, so that will be converted into P-type. If you are adding a pentavalent impure atoms to the pure semiconductor, so that will be converted into N-type semiconductor. So in tomorrow class, what are P-type semiconductors and what are their bond structure, band structure and properties. Also N-type semiconductors, bond structure and band structure and all we'll discuss. What are the current carriers, how current flows we'll discuss in the next class. So if you have the textbook, revise all these points. Okay, thank you.